Gaming has always been a passion of mine, and after playing games for years, I really wanted to start making them. But anyway, what I find works when starting on any project is to have a strict deadline. So for my first project, I did it a hackathon style. In 10 hours on a random Sunday, I picked up Godot, watched tutorials and read some articles, and by the end of it, I had a simple 2D platform. Except I really enjoyed the process so much, so I decided to do it again. I really wanted to learn how to make a bunch of different systems, so for this one, I increased the deadline to 1 week during my free. I opened up Obsidian and specified the scope of the game I want to make. Very simple 3 points. Player health system. Player has a melee and a ranged attack, and have enemies spawning around the player. So, on the first day, I did not even start by opening Godot, but instead, I opened their docs, read through them. I want to understand some of the best practices and recommendations from Godot. I also started watching a bunch of videos during the process, of course, set up my Git repository, then followed the tutorial on making Aseprite move with the mouse and fire on day 2, and I did not have any background in pixel art, but what better time to learn than the present. I heard about how good Aseprite is, and for some reason I decided to spend some time on trying to build it from scratch. It worked in the end, and I started with making my player sprite, a knight in shining armor holding a sword and a bow. I also created these cute skeleton monsters, and then finished the game with having some player movement and animating the player attacks. Day 3 came, and I set up the camera to follow the player, created the enemy health and the ability for them to die, added the ability for the enemies to chase the player, and when they reach the player, they damage. And I fixed the melee and rage attacks. So far I was in the flow and I was on the path to making it a fun game. Then day 4 came and I remembered that I had plans for the entire day, so I lost an entire day of the challenge. Day 5 came, and it was also a half day because I had some other plans, but at least I got the experience system working. I had an initial tile map with walls, set up the enemies spawning, and then I decided to increase my scope further and started adding power-ups for the player. So I ended the day designing these power-ups. With the deadline approaching fast, I knew that day 6 I had to push through. So I designed a new tile map and got the power-ups working in an initial state. And day 7 came around, which was the final day. I did a bunch of polishing, like adding the UI elements, menus, fixed the power-ups, added a small display for the selected power-ups, added restart functionality, some royalty-free music, exported it and released to itch.io. And after all of that, I discovered that I actually technically had 20 hours to go on the challenge, as I did not properly keep track of time. So instead of doing the challenge for 7 days, it was technically down to 5 days. And during the week, I could only crunch 2 to 4 hours after work, which brings down my grand total number of hours to actually around 18 hours. I did release an extra balancing patch due to some feedback I got from players that play the game, and released that on the actual 7th day. But I did it. A simple, ugly game, but it is mine. And somehow, editing this video took even longer than it took me to make that. So, what now? I have a lot of other things I want to learn, and I have an idea for a big game I want to make. So, I'm planning to start it soon. But as I said, I know that it won't work out with deadlines, but I will do it differently. Every month, I want to have something to show for it. This should hopefully give me enough time and motivation to work on it month, and I'm planning to share it all here. So if that's something interesting to you, then there's no better time to follow it than now.